Hello, this is the luckiest maths teacher in the world. Thank you so much for tuning in to this video, finding a percent of a quantity. So I just want to point out, first and foremost, these are the types of questions where you already know the percentage. Because you're also going to have to do some questions in subsequent lessons where you're actually finding the percentage, where I say, I scored 20 out of 30 in a test, what's this as a percent? And it's important you don't get mixed up between the two things. So these are ones where you already know the percent and you're trying to find another quantity. So this is pretty easy as well. There's just a couple of steps you need to follow. So what you do here is you convert the percentage to a decimal or a fraction. Either way, doesn't matter. Totally up to you. And then you times that decimal or fraction by the quantity. So let's look at an example. So this is a really basic example. So what we're going to do is we're going to find 30% of 90. Okay, so here we already know the percent. This is the quantity. It doesn't matter whether it's $90, 90 kilos, whatever, we do the same thing. So first step, convert the percent to a decimal or a fraction. So I'm going to, in this case, do it as a fraction. So 30% is 30 over 100. Of means times by the quantity. Okay, that's all I need to do. So you can use a calculator to do this. I'll show you how to do it without a calculator. So simplify this fraction to make it easy. I can divide top and bottom by 10. I can also divide 90 by 10 and 10 by 10. Easy as. So I'm just left with 3 times 9, 27 over 1, which is 27. So 30% of 90 is 27, okay? So you probably already know this and learnt it already. Let's look at how we can use this for percentage increase and decrease. All right, so let's look at this question here. A cologne normally costs $180, discounted by 25%, and we want to know how much it will cost. So what we can do is we can find 25% of 180 and then subtract that from 180. So the amount that it goes down by, the amount of the discount, 25% of 180, so 25 over 100, I've just converted it to a fraction, times 180. So again, you can use your calculator or you can do this with pen and paper. So I'm going to make this a little easier. Divide top and bottom by 10. Now 25 and 10 have a common factor of 5. So 5 goes into 25 5 times. It goes into 10 twice. So then I have 18, which is also divisible by 2. So 2 goes into 18 9 times. 2 goes into itself once. I'm just left with 5 times 9, which is 45. So that means that this cologne will be discounted by $45. So therefore, it will now cost $180 minus $45, which is just $135. Okay? So I sort of think that's an easier way to do it, even though it takes a bit longer. There's a shorter way that you can do this. So, if you're really astute, you'll note that reducing something by 25% is the same as paying 75% of it. So if I get 25% discount, I'm only paying 75% of the normal price. So what I could do is just find 75% of 180. And I do that a very similar way. 75 over 100 times by 180. So same thing, I want to make this easier for myself. So divide by 10. 5 goes into 75 15 times, goes into 10 twice. Again, 2 goes into itself once, and 2 goes into 18 9 times. So I'm just left with 15 times 9, which is the same answer, 135. Whichever way you want to do it is fine, okay? Let's look at another example. So we'll try this question here. The cost price of a phone is $320. Business wants to make 20% profit. What is the selling price? So just so you know, when we're doing financial maths, the cost price is what it costs the business who's selling it, either to make it or to buy it. The selling price is what the customer pays. So let's say you went and bought a shirt for $50 today. That $50 is the selling price, what the business sells it to the customer for. So this question is basically saying company either paid $320 to make a phone or to buy a phone, and they want to increase the price by 20% to make a profit. So we're just going to take $320 and increase it by 20%. So you can sort of do it the long way. You can find 20% of 320 and then add that to 320. So I'll do that. This time I'll convert the percent to a decimal, but it wouldn't matter if you chose a fraction. So 0.2 times by 320. So if you've forgotten how to do this, what you do is ignore the decimal point. So you've got 2 times 320, which is 640. Now, because there's one number after the decimal point in this multiplication sum, then our answer will have one number after the decimal point. So I'll put the decimal point there, and there's one number afterwards. So 0.2 times 320 is 64. So 20% of $320 is $64. So the business would sell it for $320 plus an extra 64, giving us 384. Okay, so that is a bit longer, but it's easy to understand. The other way to do it, if you want to increase something by 20%, that's the same as finding 120% of the original price. The business wants to sell the phone for 120% of the cost price. So I can find 120% of 320. Now, I don't want you to think that because this is over 100% that we do it any different. We do it the same way. You convert it to a fraction or a decimal, and then you multiply. So again, I'm going to use a decimal. So 120% as a decimal, remember, move the decimal point 2 spots left, it's 1.2. So I go 1.2 times 320. So you can do this like I did the other one as 12 times 320, and because there's one number after the decimal point, then in your answer there should be one number after the decimal point. So there are heaps of ways you can do it. You might like to do it like this, like you used to, whatever. You might like to do 10 times 320 plus 2 times 320. Whatever it is up to you. But what the answer you get should be 3,840. But remember, there was one number after the decimal point. There's got to be one number after the decimal point. So you get 384.0 or just $384. So either way, we should get the same answer. Whichever way you want to do it is fine by me. All right, this has been the luckiest maths teacher in the world. Hope you have a great day.